I remember when I was 13 years old, my mom made me go get a haircut at this cheap barber shop. We had a coupon, it was like $6. I was a little hesitant. My mom was like, no, you gotta do it. So I go in. The lady's like, what would you like? And I tell her, I want to get a fade on the side and then leave the top long. It's what people would now call a textured fringe. It's where your hair covers your forehead and on the side, it's fade. So she's like, okay, cool. She cuts my hair. She's like, oh, so do you like it? I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, this lady gave me a bowl cut. I don't say anything. She's like, oh, so do you like it? And I go, yeah. Obviously, I did not like it. It was a bowl cut. And I remember the next day in school was Olympics Day. It's where the whole grade competes at these like multiple sporting events. And it's the one day of school where everyone sees you. And I had the worst haircut of my life. So I'm just getting roasted by everyone. And I'm just thinking, damn, I should have told her I didn't like the haircut, because then she could have fixed it. And that's the number one rule of confidence, to be honest. I don't quite remember if that's how it happened exactly, but you get the point. I could have easily had this haircut fixed if I just was honest. Nowadays, when I get a haircut, if I don't like it, and this is a good tip for you, just specifically say what you want them to change. So in that case, I got the bowl cut. I could have been like, oh, could you make it a little more uneven and textured on top? Would have saved me a lot of embarrassment the next day, but I just didn't have the confidence to say I didn't really like the haircut. Part of being honest is keeping your word to yourself. So if you say, I'm going to the gym tomorrow, and you actually go, then you build confidence off that. But if you say, I'm going to the gym tomorrow, and you just skip it, now you don't trust what you say as much. Like, think about it this way. Like, let's say you had two friends, right? One of them is a dude who's like, yo, let's hang out sometime. And then when you text him to go hang out, he's like, actually, I can't. Friend number two is always down to help you out with something. Who are you going to trust more? Obviously, the second friend, right? The same way works for your own mind. If you keep your word to yourself, then you become more like friend number two. And if you don't keep your word, you become more like friend number one. So your own mind is like, can I trust what I am actually saying? So do your best to keep your word to yourself and others, because you'll build confidence off of that. And I find this pretty interesting. I think the more difficult the thing is, the more confidence you build. So if you tell yourself, I'm going to run a marathon, and then you actually do it, bro, you will gain so much confidence. But if you say like, oh, I'm going to go for a walk tomorrow, and you actually do it, you'll build some confidence because you're still keeping your word. But it's just a different level if you do something more difficult. Okay, number two, focusing on what you can control. When I was dealing with panic attacks, I learned that the best thing you can do in that situation is to sit there and wait it out. If you run, you reinforce in your mind that the right response to panic is to run. Even though your whole body is just feeling so overwhelmed, it genuinely feels like you're having a heart attack. Once I knew it was panic attacks, and once I knew that that was the right thing to do, I knew I couldn't control how I was feeling, but I could control my actions. So once I started feeling the sensations and I started to wait it out, the panic attacks happened less and less frequently, and eventually I felt fine. So that's tip number two. Focusing on what you can control. Now, number three is knowing yourself. People throw this term around a lot, but they don't really define it. So I think what it means is you should have an understanding of your strengths and weaknesses. And one way you can do this is by taking a personality test. I think you should take the Big 5 personality test rather than the Myers-Briggs. You can just Google Big 5 personality test. I think it's better because it gives you a percentage breakdown. So the Big 5, for example, would say, oh, you're in the 60th percentile for introversion, whereas Myers-Briggs would say you're an introvert. And I think people get too attached to the identity of their personality. So if you did the Big 5 model, then you would be able to know, hey, maybe I am an introvert, but I'm not like the biggest introvert in the world. I also have some extroverted characteristics. Whereas with the Myers-Briggs, you might just be like, oh, I'm an introvert. I should stay at home all day. But I've noticed in my own life, when I didn't really know myself, I would do a bunch of things that I didn't really want to do because I didn't consciously take time to think through what I actually wanted. And that takes us to tip number 4, knowing who you want to be. So if you want to be more confident, what you should do is you should take characteristics from people you admire and try and implement them in your own life. And the thing is, you should take different characteristics from different people. So you could be like, oh, I want to be like as disciplined as David Goggins, but I also want to be as grateful as Jay Shetty, but I also want the humor of Dave Chappelle. You can just combine characteristics from people that you admire and put it all together. And I think the core of that is really important to building confidence and really finding yourself. Okay, number 5, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. One of my favorite stories is the story afraid of Bruce Wayne. Do you know why Bruce Wayne is Batman? At least in Batman Begins, it's because he is afraid of bats. So what he fears the most, he embraces. And as someone who had a lot of social anxiety as a kid, stand-up comedy was one of the things that I feared most. So I had to do it. And I knew that if I did that and made videos on the internet like this, I'd have a lot more confidence in myself because of how much I feared it. And now I feel a lot more comfortable doing this. Ask yourself, what is something I'm afraid of that I shouldn't be afraid of? So a lot of people would have to do something with like making content or public speaking. Someone's gonna watch this and be like, oh, I'm actually afraid of tigers, so I should go train tigers. No, you should be afraid of tigers. I'm saying, what's something that you're afraid of that you shouldn't be? Public speaking is something you shouldn't be afraid of it. You don't die from public speaking. Maybe you feel a little bit embarrassed, but it's not something that you should be afraid of. I think for a lot of people, this might be asking someone on a date. That's not something you should be afraid of because it can't actually hurt you. You know what I mean? The worst that happens is the person says no. Now the next step is to create a plan to actually address those things. Because the person who creates a plan is way more likely to actually succeed than the person who doesn't. So it's a big key to confidence. What's your plan to really do these big things, to accomplish these goals, dreams, whatever it is you want to do? Here's the thing, it doesn't have to be a good plan right now because you figure it out along the way. For me, yeah, I knew I wanted to do like stand-up and make skits, but it took a while for me to think, oh, I want to make self-improvement content like this. And right now, this is my main focus. So your plan adapts over time. So don't put too much pressure on it, but make a plan for at least the next year, the next 5 years, and just change it as you move along. Number 7, surrounding yourself with people who want what is best for you. You're way more likely to accomplish a goal if you have people in your life who want you to accomplish that goal. It's so obvious, but a lot of people don't actually do this. They don't actually evaluate the people they're spending time with and being like, is this person actually rooting for me when it comes down to it? Because a lot of people lie here. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, of course they are. Of course all my friends are rooting for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not everyone is rooting for you. If you've known someone for a while, in your gut, you know right now if they want what's best for you. So make sure you're only surrounding yourself with people who want what's best for you. Tip number 8, helping others. As part of your plan, just think through like, how is this actually gonna help other people? And try and incorporate that. I really believe in karma because I just don't see any other way the world would work. Why would anyone help us if we don't help anyone else? If you actually provide value to people, then they'll provide value to you back. I just think that's how the world works. And I think you build confidence off of it. So always have that as part of your goals. And tip number 9, for being more confident, prioritizing your health, both mental and physical. I'm listening to this audiobook by Jimmy Carr. He puts this really well. All self-help can be boiled down to 2 words. Prioritize later. The version of you that goes to the gym, journals, meditates, reads, that version of you is just going to be more confident than the version that doesn't. Because all those things provide you mental clarity. Taking care of your physical health also improves your mental health. And the 10th tip to building confidence is not listening to the haters. So this is more of a tip for myself, posting content on the internet. And if you want to be a content creator or stand-up comedian like me, then hopefully this is beneficial to you as well. If you're truly doing something that's having an impact, you're going to have some people that won't like you. If you listen to them and you listen to the hate and you just stop, you'll lose confidence in your own vision, your own ability to create. Never listen to the haters. So these are 10 tips for confidence. I'm not saying, oh, I've mastered all these tips. No. They're just as much for myself as they are for you. I don't think any of these are particularly easy to implement, but I do think they're worth it. Life's not easy, but it's worth it. Take care.